Hit it.
All right, here we go. Good morning, Julia Salata. Here we are at the Cavelli Center, Columbus, Ohio. I got Cruiser 96 with me right here.
Hey!
He's gonna be.
That's how we know each other.
That's right.
Welcome to the wrestling Twitter world.
He's gonna be MC today, so we're excited about this event. Tell us what brings you here with Wrestle Like a Girl. How'd you get involved with Wrestle Like a Girl in the beginning?
So I started working for Wrestle Like a Girl in September of 2019. I was originally brought on to handle all of the collegiate initiatives, with my primary goal or task, I guess, being the NCAA Emerging Sports Status vote. We attained that in January of 2020, so now I'm working a lot on making that transition from emerging sports to championship sports status. So that's still my primary position, my slice of the pie with Wrestling a Girl, but I also started getting involved more with the state sanctioning side of things. Coaching development is a big thing I'm working on right now, so I kind of wear a lot of hats, but definitely helped in planning with this event. A very, very small part. I'm just kind of here as support for whatever they need me, but two really great teams. I worked with both Coach Haynes as well as Coach Nicola and Coach Oswald before, and it's going to be a really great event. I'm excited about it. But definitely want to make sure I could be here, even though I'm a Michigan fan. I haven't gotten too nauseous being in this building yet, but in spite of all of that, I still want to be here, which is how much I care about the success of this. So.
It shows how much you care, right? It's cringeworthy being seeing the Scarlet and Gray. I get it. You know, we're both Mark and I are homers, but we can cross lines for the sake of the sport. So I'm glad you brought it up. How important is this event to bring a Pennsylvania team and Ohio team, two states that aren't sanctioned? How important is this event today? Oh,
it's huge, and this is what Coach Haynes and I were actually just talking about. For a lot of these girls, this is their first match ever, and to have your first match ever being in this building, to be, you know, kind of the kick off this event, a really great dual meet between Pitt and Ohio State, you know, Pennsylvania, Ohio, is huge. You know, both the Sanction PA and Sanction Ohio Task Force have been working really hard for a couple of years to get things off the ground. I think Pennsylvania actually just met that threshold to become an emerging sport in their state. Ohio's been, you know, chugging away for a couple of years now. They're making some progress. You know, I know they've had some obstacles to overcome, but they're doing a really good job, and the numbers keep showing the growth, that in spite of not being sanctioned yet, these states are just exploding numbers wise, and that's really what it's about, right? Is getting more involved and giving them opportunities to compete, and hopefully these state organizations see, especially seeing this event here today, how much this means to these girls, how competitive these girls are, and where the trajectory of women's wrestling is really headed, both in the high school and collegiate spaces. You know, we have a big D1 push happening right now. D1 women's wrestling is doing a lot to get it you know, more off the ground at Division I level. So being at a Division I institution, hopefully in tune, these Division I schools will see, oh man, well, this is legit. So I think it kind of goes both ways. It's going to help the collegiate side of things as well. And it's just so awesome these girls get to be here. And I'm really thankful to Coach Ryan for hosting us today and, you know, being enthusiastic about it. You know, it's really easy to say, well, sure, you can have the girls there. And it's another thing to be like, heck yes, let's do it. This is going to be awesome. So a lot of props to him for having us and for being excited about this event.
Well, from where you sit and from us being just great, huge wrestling fans, it's probably taken a while. But from the average fan looking in, the dominoes have really started to fall. You said D1. That's the magic word. For some reason, we're all stuck on D1. We've got a ton of support all across the country at different levels for girls wrestling. The first D1 domino fell with Iowa. How important it is for the rest of the dominoes to keep going along?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, for a while we've been talking about, you know, someone just needs to pull the trigger. And, you know, we had, you know, Sacred Heart added and Presbyterian down in South Carolina added. But to have that first Power 5 school is so huge. And in my opinion, now it kind of turns into an arm race, right? I mean, like, if Iowa has it, who is, you know, the crown jewel of men's Division I wrestling, now all the other schools are like, well, if Iowa has it, we need to do it. And they kind of really have set the bar pretty high. I mean, hiring Clarissa Chun right out of the gate, which is huge and the perfect hire in my opinion. I think really highly of Chun, as both my teammate and as a coach. You know, now it's kind of, they're kind of telling me, well, it's like, okay, we'll step up now. You know, we did it, why can't you do it as well? And not that, you know, Division I needs to be the end-all be-all of athletics. It needs to be every single high school athlete's goal, but that's how we start getting a little bit more legitimacy, you know? If we can start getting these girls to Division I schools, that now, again, it goes back to the high school level. Like, you can be a Division I athlete. You can go to Iowa. You can go to Ohio State. You can go to the University of Michigan. Go Blue. And have these opportunities. So, I mean, there were already rumblings about a lot of these Division I Power 5 schools wanting to add, and I think now that Iowa's done it, it kind of put a little bit of a fire under their butt. And I think that kind of is hopefully encouraging them to get the ball rolling and making things happen. I know they all have their own obstacles to overcome within their athletic departments, and, you know, it's a hard sell. But I think it's we're getting there. I think it's a lot sooner than people realize, especially once we become an NCAA championship sport. I'm hoping by 2025, I think that also will help catalyze it a little bit. But we're moving in the right direction, and the focus does seem to be on Division I right now, and I think it's an important step and one that I think we're pretty close to achieving in the next couple of years.
All right, I want to switch gears on you a little bit because this is a question I love to ask anybody that gets on the other side of the camera. From the horse's mouth, one of the leaders of the Wrestle Like a Girl movement, you're right alongside with everybody else in the organization. Talk to the girl that's sitting on her couch today, maybe flips on the duel, hears about it, sees it on social media, but's thinking, I've never wrestled before. Talk to that girl and tell her what wrestling will do for her.
Wrestling, we'll go back a little bit and talk about our coach, Terry Steiner, our head national team coach. And he wrote this open letter a couple years ago, and one of the biggest things that I took away from that when it first came out was that people love to applaud all of the life skills you learn through wrestling. All the skills that young men learn, accountability and discipline and integrity. And we love to applaud that, right? So if that's the case, why are we limiting that opportunity to half the population? Why not offer it to everyone, and why don't we embrace it? And I think that's so important, is that wrestling is such a character building sport. I mean, beyond how awesome this sport is and how fun it is and how much you learn, the skills that you take, excited over there. I mean, it's just something that you carry with you for the rest of your life. When I started wrestling, it was kind of a fluke. They started a program right at the end of my middle school years, the end of 8th grade, and I was a big WWE fan when I was a kid. And I came home for this flyer. I'm like, Mom, I want to wrestle. She's like, that's not John Cena and The Undertaker, dude. Like, this isn't the same thing. I'm like, I know, it's fine. It'll be okay. She's like, all right, fine, do what you want. I ended up winning the middle school city championship at the end of that 6-week trial run of that first middle school wrestling season that I had. And that tournament was held at my high school. My high school coach, who became my high school coach, approached my parents at the end of the event. He's like, I've never had a girl on the team, but we'd love to have her. I think she has a future in this sport. And at the time, back in 2006, 2007, that wasn't very common. He was kind of an outlier in that regard, to not only accept me, but to approach my parents and be proactive, being like, yeah, I think she can do something here. And I'm so thankful for him, because what I learned over the 4 years of high school wrestling really has impacted me to this day. I mean, obviously I wrestled in college, wrestled on the national team for 10 years, but even now I'm a retired athlete and I'm still involved. I'm here today, I'm working for Wrestle Like a Girl, I'm trying to push the collegiate initiative side of things. And I just wish that girls even knew that women's wrestling was an opportunity for them. A lot of them don't even know it's possible. They don't even know that girls wrestle still. It's you and I, we're in the wrestling community. We know it's a thing. We know it's growing, but to the average girl walking the halls of her high school, she doesn't know that yet. She doesn't know what wrestling can do for her. And especially with how many college opportunities are available right now, there's a place for them in collegiate athletics. They can be a college athlete and they can get a scholarship, and a pretty good one, because right now all these schools just need numbers. There's money for everybody. And two, I mean, just like the amount of, I want to say, empowerment that the female wrestlers have. It's an individual sport, which in and of itself is huge, but to be in a combat sport and to feel strong and powerful as a female athlete is so big. I mean, you're seeing the rise of women's MMA right now, and how it's becoming more mainstream. And I think, again, that kind of goes back to the high school level. You can be that girl. If you want to pursue MMA, get in the wrestling room. You know what I mean? You can be that badass woman on TV. You can be Julia Salata submitting Amanda Nunes last night and shocking the world.
Shocking the world, right.
And you can do all these things through wrestling, and the other stuff too. I mean, building friendships and camaraderie and all of that is so cool. But I've just been able to do so much because of the sport. I've traveled to over 40 countries, being on the national team, competed in 3 Olympic trials. And had you told 7th grade me that when I was still watching WWE and playing softball and hockey, I would have been like, I can't do that. And then I won that one tournament. My coach came up to me and I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. So it's just such a great sport. And, again, you and I know that, but you can't speak enough about how important this sport can be for someone long term. What it can do for them. Wrestling saves lives in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
We have the second highest percentage of first generation college students across all college sports.
Right.
And I think we're behind football by 1%. I think football is 24 and we're 23 or something like that. So there's just so much opportunity, and I think we're going to keep seeing growth, but I want more. I'm selfish. I want more.
That gives me chills. I'm so excited. Awareness is what we're doing today. Again, you've been banging that gong for forever, but we're here to bring awareness. And the opportunity is the main thing I want to get across to those wrestlers and those parents that are out there. A ton of opportunity. Let's do this. I'm excited about today. I'm super happy. I'm pumped you're here in Central Ohio. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, likewise.